Their first day at a new place is always tough, right? Well, for Lieutenant Anya Sharma, stepping onto the Coronado SEAL base was less of a welcome and more of a trial by fire. The air, thick with salt and testosterone, buzzed with whispers the moment she walked in. She was the new girl, an outsider, and a few of the hotshot operators weren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. It started with small things. "Hey newbie, coffee run." One would bark, tossing a crumpled bill on her desk without even making eye contact. Another accidentally knocked over a stack of her files. Muttering a barely there apology before swaggering off with his buddies, their laughter echoing down the hall. Anya, however, remained unfazed. She just smiled, brewed the coffee, and neatly restacked her papers. Her calm demeanor seemed to infuriate them even more. They saw it as weakness, a sign that she was just another pencil pusher who did UNT belong in their world of grit and glory. The ringleader, a cocky senior operator named Jox, decided to up the ante during a briefing for a critical upcoming mission. He openly questioned her tactical analysis. "With all due respect, Lieutenant," he began, his voice dripping with condescension, "this plan looks like it was drawn up by a first-year cadet. Maybe you should stick to logistics and leave the real planning to the men who've actually been in the field." The room fell silent. Everyone looked from Jox's smug face to Anya's calm expression. This was it, the moment they expected her to break, to complain, or to run to a superior. Instead, Anya simply picked up a marker and walked to the whiteboard. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't even look at Jox. She began to deconstruct his proposed alternative, her marker flying across the board. "3-year entry point," she said, her voice steady and clear. "Fails to account for the seasonal shift in coastal currents, which would delay your team by at least 8 minutes. Your secondary exfil route intersects with a known patrol pattern. A detail you missed in the latest intel report, which I distributed this morning," she continued, systematically and flawlessly dismantling every aspect of Jox's plan. Citing data, environmental factors, and enemy tactics with a level of detail that left the entire room stunned. The operators, who had been sniggering moments before, were now leaning forward, their eyes wide. Jox's face went from smug to confused, then to a pale shade of shock. He had no response. He had been completely outmaneuvered, not with aggression, but with sheer, undeniable competence. Anya finished her presentation and turned to face the room. "My plan stands," she stated simply. "Any more questions?" The silence was deafening. But the real shock was yet to come. The next morning, the base was called to a surprise all-hands formation. The air was tense with anticipation. The base commander, a legendary figure known as the Admiral, rarely made such appearances. He stood at the podium, his gaze sweeping over the assembled SEALs. "We have a new commanding officer for this facility," he announced, his voice booming across the tarmac. Someone with an unparalleled record in strategic command and field intelligence. He paused for dramatic effect. "Please, welcome your new CO commander, Anya Sharma." A wave of disbelief washed over the crowd. Jox and his friends looked like they'd seen a ghost. The woman they had spent the week trying to humiliate, the new girl they thought was just a paper pusher, was not just a lieutenant. She was their new boss. She had been observing, evaluating, and testing them from the moment she arrived. As Commander Sharma stepped up to the podium, her eyes met Jox's. She offered a small, knowing smile. It wasn't a smile of triumph or revenge, but one of quiet authority. The entire base suddenly understood. They weren't just looking at the new girl anymore. They were looking at the woman who commanded the entire SEAL base. And for the first time, they saw her for who she truly was, a leader. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.